So there are times when sorcerers know more about us than we actually know about ourselves. And sorcerers can see who we are in the spirit better than we can see ourselves sometimes. And if you've been wondering how exactly sorcerers are able to know your destiny and your spiritual gifts before you are even aware of them, then please stick around because today we're going to be revealing the mystery of just how sorcerers gain important spiritual info on the people that they wish to target with spell work. Hello, beautiful people. It is Oshun Kimmy, Mother of Mysteries. I am a psychic medium and channeler who receives direct insight into the mysteries of magic and the spirit realm from my ancestral team. So please be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. So in the last video, I talked about how sorcerers choose who they'll target with spell work. And this video is all about how they actually get the information that they need on the person they are intending to target. So there are the more obvious ways that sorcerers gain spiritual information on a person, like through the process of sending and assigning monitoring spirits to a person. And as I've explained in a previous video, monitoring spirits can be either human or non-human. So in the non-human form, sorcerers can send in things like flies, mice, snakes, cats, and birds. Also, when talking about non-human monitoring spirits, this can also refer to monitoring energies that don't have a physical form at all. So sorcerers can send in actual entities or even graveyard spirits to monitor and gain information on a person. And in cases where a sorcerer is sending in monitoring spirits, they usually do this to gain a better understanding of your day to day life and habits. Do you have a strong spiritual routine? Do you have any spiritual weaknesses? Do you have anyone in your inner circle who can be used against you or turned against you in some way? These are the types of things they are looking for when they send in monitoring spirits and energies. So sorcerers and or the monitoring spirits that they send in to spy on a person can also astral travel into a person's dreams and gather information on them in the dream state. So if you've ever dreamed about people asking you questions in your dreams or of you having intimate conversations about your personal life in your dreams, this can be a sign of someone seeking to gain more spiritual information on you, what's happening next in your life, what are the blessings in store for you in your future, things like that. Now, however, when it comes to a sorcerer wanting to know more esoteric information, not the everyday information of like, what do you do in your day to day life? But if a sorcerer wants esoteric information about your spiritual profile or about who you are in the spirit, then this is where they'll resort to different levels of spiritual spying, like performing divination on the ancestral lineage that you come from to see things like if there is wealth or spiritual power in your lineage, and or they'll do divination to look into your akashic records for information about your birth chart, your life path number, and other things regarding your spiritual design. And if you want to know more about discovering your own personal spiritual design, I actually just did a wonderful lecture and workshop on the Patreon about this exact topic. So you may want to consider joining for more information on spiritual design specifically. And before we go any further into this conversation, let's go ahead and drop our affirmations to protect our Akashic records, okay? Please declare in the comments below. Let swift and severe judgment come upon any being who peers into my Akashic records without my explicit permission. Period. Ashe. Now, when it comes to sorcerers gaining sensitive information about your spiritual profile, your spiritual design, and your destiny, they will do this by getting very close to you. Essentially, they're going to get you to trust them with sensitive spiritual information by either pretending to be your friends and or by posing as a trustworthy spiritual healer or mentor. I have also encountered many cases of sorcerers getting close to someone through romantic relationships as well. So being careful of who we mate with and the families that we marry into is super important. Then, of course, there are sorcerers who bait us into trusting them on a professional level, where we trust them enough to let them read or divine on our spiritual situations. And then once we allow this sorcerer to divine on us and gain our spiritual information, they are essentially just going to use the information that they gathered during your reading for their own purposes and intentions. So technically, we give them permission to access our Akashic records, but they gain the permission and trust from us under false pretenses. So now, of course, since I'm never going to expose a problem without talking about solutions, let's talk about protection methods and remedies. Since the number one way that I see sorcerers gathering important spiritual information on a person is through romantic relationships and spiritual mentorships, we have to be very careful of who we are mating with and who we are working with spiritually. Always, always, always ask for discernment when thinking of connecting with any lover or any reader, and ask your ancestral spirits and spirit guides to guide you towards the right romantic or spiritual relationship for you. My best advice with both romantic and spiritual relationships is to don't treat any lover or any spiritual practitioner like your savior, because that is the number one way that we get messed up, by thinking that someone outside of ourselves, someone outside of the divine heavenly forces that walk with us, is somehow going to save us from whatever spiritual hardships we are going through. Sorcerers love desperate people, so make sure you're not giving off a vibe of being in need of savior. And if it is a situation where you have already given access to your Akashic records and energy field to someone who turned out to be untrustworthy, then you essentially need to go through a process of revocation, where you are revoking the access that you gave to that person. This revocation process of closing the doors to your Akashic records can consist of visual meditations where you envision yourself closing the doors and locking the sorcerer out of your energy. Or you can also rely on written declarations if you are not a good visualizer. Essentially, you can write up a contract setting the terms and agreements of your Akashic records, who can access it, who you are closing the energy off from, and you can state that you initially may have gave someone access, but you are now revoking that access. Sign it with your full name and then burn it under a full moon to release it to the universe. And if you are dealing with situations where entities or monitoring spirits are gaining information on you in your dreams, immediately pray when you wake up that nothing you shared can be sabotaged or used against you. Now, everything that I've offered here is wonderful general advice. Yet, if you are in need of personal one-on-one guidance about your particular spiritual situation, this is where I highly recommend you book a one-on-one session with me or someone that you trust. And if you benefit from the revelations that I share here on the YouTube, you will heavily benefit from the mysteries that I share on the Patreon. A link for both readings and the Patreon will be in the pinned comments below. Until the next video, peace and bliss, family. Ashe.